Bienvenidos a Vibra Alto. Soy Claudia Plana, empresaria, periodista y maratonista, una entusiasta del deporte, estilo de vida saludable y de la comunicación. Lo que a mí me hace vibrar alto, aparte de practicar este estilo de vida, es encontrar fuentes de inspiración, personas y referentes con historias de éxito y superación. Con Vibra Alto quiero dar voz a esas personas. Bienvenidos a Vibra Alto. Este es un episodio diferente, primer episodio en inglés. Tenemos con nosotros a Jeremy, muchos lo conoceréis por Ciclo, la famosa empresa de ciclismo indoor. Jeremy es músico, es un super coach y showman que acaba de lanzar su propia empresa, Sessions, un nuevo concepto boutique de fitness indoor cycling. So Jeremy, welcome to Vibra Alto.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Very excited.
I was just saying that you're one of the most, if not the most, popular cycling instructor.
Well, I don't know about that, but that I'm very humbled to hear you say that.
So let's talk about the beginnings. You studied music in the USA and you worked in musical theater in New York, right?
That is correct. Yeah, music has always been a huge part of my life, even way before I moved to New York City. So I studied I got my undergraduate degree at the University of South Carolina in Columbia, South Carolina. And then after that, I studied musical theater in New York City. And that was about almost a 2-year program. And then immediately after that, I started working, doing musical theater, doing shows, performing, doing everything that an artist does in New York for many years. And then I stumbled upon SoulCycle. And it was really cool because I was able to use a lot of the same skills that I had acquired and learned throughout my years of musical training to put them to use at SoulCycle. Like, first of all, being comfortable. It's a lot like performing. You're on a platform in a dark room with loud music and lights beside you. And so you need to be comfortable being the center of attention, which I loved, especially in my 20s and 30s. I really loved being the center of attention. And so I was just able to connect a lot of those same skills and attributes that I was doing during my years of musical theater to SoulCycle.
Yeah, because music helped you train, right?
Yes. I mean, music and having good instincts for music, and having, dare I say, a good taste in music is such a huge part of what we do because, with the form of exercise that we do, we often are training and working with people who they may not be huge fanatics with exercise. We have all different types of levels, people who have been training their whole life. And then a lot of people come and take our class who they come with a friend and they've never taken, a fitness class before. And one of the best things to keep them inspired and that makes them come back is a good playlist, having good music, inspiring music.
And Jeremy, what is SoulCycle and how do you get in the fitness industry?
So SoulCycle, I think, is it's the original company that sort of set the pace for boutique fitness as we know it today. It started about over 20 years ago now. I think it started in 2007 in New York.
Yeah.
And it was this whole idea of taking one concept, in that case, indoor cycling or rhythmic indoor cycling is what we properly call it. And that is the only discipline, and you create this sort of upscale experience around that. So it's, originally it was a pay-per-class model, and the amenities were high-end. You're catering to a very high-end demographic. And the actual characteristics of the class is it's done in a room. Everything is taken into the consideration, like the smell of the studio. You have your signature Jonathan Adler candles that you smell. It smells like grapefruit. And it's all about creating an experience that everyone can remember. So you remember whenever you smell that Jonathan Adler candle, you remember your experience in taking the class at SoulCycle. You remember the playlist. You remember what the instructor said. You remember how they make you feel. So not only was I using my musical skills, but also using the acting, inspirational skills. So that's what the business started as. And I sort of became a part of that company in 2010, so about 3 years. So in the grand scheme of the history, I was one of the first instructors. I started at Tribeca,
Wow.
which is just a few blocks away from the World Trade Center. And but I taught all over the city, in the suburbs, and I was it was like a huge part of my life for 4 years. And I started as just an instructor. I actually started at the front desk.
Wow, at the front
I
desk.
started at the front
Really?
desk. Yeah, because I answered. It might sound weird for Gen Z. I know millennials know what it is, but I don't know if anyone still uses Craigslist.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Well,
classic.
Craigslist. Back then, as a performer, you're looking for a gig, and so I was always looking for gigs on Craigslist. And so I was looking for a job that if I had a theater job that took me out of the city, because that happens a lot when you're an actor. You go to, the suburbs, you go out of state. I even went as far away as Missouri once and did a show, which for those of you who don't know the United States, Missouri is a long way away from New York City.
Uh-huh.
And I was looking for a job that in the event that I went out of the city, I could come back very easily. That gave me flexibility. So, working at the front desk. And then I was invited by the owner of Soul Cycle. Her name is Julie Rice. She invited me to audition. It was something that I said, oh, that would be cool, but it was nothing that I really considered, because the instructors at the time, they seemed so huge, so larger than life. It was a bit intimidating to think of myself as being on the same level at them at the time. But I decided to audition, and I thankfully got accepted into the training program. And so I was only at the front desk for about a month, 6 weeks before
Okay.
I went into the training program. So the overwhelming majority of the time that I was a part of Soul Cycle was being an instructor.
Yeah, because I have seen that this kind of cycling instructors are very cool. I like the stars, like they're running the show.
Yes. Having, having an ego
Yeah.
helps. But yeah, they definitely are the star of the show. I mean, well, this is what I think. I think the class is the star of the show.
Yeah.
As I've done it, this will be my 15th year being an instructor. And as I've done it, I've gone from aspiring to be the center of attention to being the star of the show, and seeing myself more as a vessel for the class to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. I look at myself as being, everything that keeps the class bonded together. I think of myself as, the person that inspires the class to do their best. And I don't like to think about it as being all about me. I understand the importance of my
For
job.
inspiration.
Yeah, for inspiration.
Yeah.
And that's why I spend a lot of time on music. In the last 3 years, I've spent so much more time crafting music in the playlist than I ever did in the years before. Yeah,
Wow.
music is it's so important.
Yeah, it's very, very important for you, and music is very inspiring. Increased dopamine levels. It's a mood changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm agree. And how was the change to Ciclo Mexico?
Yeah.
Long story.
Um it was very challenging, I would say, in the first year. Not only did I go into, this new role. So I look at it as sort of being two different things going on at the same time. I was now responsible for um, this new startup. So I don't know if a lot of people know, but whenever Ciclo started in Mexico, it was a brand new startup from scratch. So I was the very first instructor, and I was given the responsibility to train the instructors. So I went from only having to show up and worry about my class and do my playlist to taking on the responsibility of, helping this brand new business in this foreign country. And so on the other end, I was dealing with, the cultural change. And,
Yeah.
I was not a baby at the time. I think certain changes like that are a little easier to accomplish when you're a little younger. But I think I was in my 30s at that time, and mid 30s. And I just found it somewhat challenging to assimilate into a new environment.
Mhm. Yeah, because Ciclo is like the Mexican version of SoulCycle, right?
Yeah, well, that was the idea.
The idea.
That was the idea.
Now it's much more.
Well, it's expanded
Uh-huh.
in other areas, but yeah, that was the idea. So I arrived and had that responsibility. I will say that what really helped change the experience is whenever I met my now wife.
Mm-hmm.
I trained,
Maria.
yeah, Maria.
Yeah.
I trained her in in the first months, and as we started dating and we got closer, and then I got an extended family, and so
Mm-hmm.
not only did I have an incredible girlfriend at the time, but I became very close to my now mother-in-law, and that helped make the experience
Yeah.
in assimilating to Mexico a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Family is very
Yeah,
important, of course.
absolutely.
And what made you leave Mexico? It was the Spanish vibes?
Oh, I fell in love with Spain the first night I
Yeah.
got here. Yeah. So I remember when they came to me and they said we're going to open up a studio in Madrid, and I thought, oh wow, okay. Um, at that point, I had only been to Western Europe once with Maria. Actually, the
Okay.
first time I ever came to Western Europe, our first vacation was we went to London, Paris, Rome, and Venice. And I had no connection with Western Europe up until then. So I'd never been to Spain. Um, Usually, we Americans, when we think about Spain, we think about Barcelona.
Yeah.
I think that's changed a lot in the in
Yeah.
the
In
in the
these
in
past
these
years. Yeah.
few years. I
Yeah.
think Madrid is more in the consciousness of Americans, but at the time, no. So I really didn't know much about Madrid other than it was the capital of Spain, and it was very historic.
Uh-huh.
But I was very excited to come here. But when
So
I
you moved here to Madrid in 2021?
21, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, when I got here, but the first time I was here, I stayed here about 3 months, a few years earlier than that, and that set the pace for me wanting to move here.
Yeah,
So,
really.
yeah, I arrived in 2018
Okay.
for the first time. Yeah.
And how was the experience?
Oh, incredible. I still remember, like, wow, this is it. I'll tell you specifically why, because I felt like it had a lot of what New York. I mean, I love New York. I still love New
Mm-hmm.
York. I left New York because I felt like it was a great opportunity, but it was never wanting to leave New York. And I've gone back several times since. But Madrid had everything that I loved about New York. Neighborhoods, I didn't have to drive. I could take
Mm-hmm.
the subway. It had neighborhoods, diversity.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and diversity is very important for
Yeah.
me, being in a diverse environment. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just felt the connection immediately.
Well, and your classes are always fully booked. I have been to your classes, and you're not just a cycle instructor, you're a natural entertainer, a showman. You live it.
Yes, I do. I don't always recognize it or realize it. I mean, that makes me feel really good when I hear people say that, because I used to hear, I think the reason I have that in me is because the people that I admire the most in my life, I used to hear people say that about them, you know.
Hmm.
Of course, I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan, and you see a lot of that influence. But I also I was a huge Ricky Martin fan, and I remember people saying that about him. He's a natural entertainer, so
Yeah.
I love when people say that.
And
You know.
James Brown, too. I love James Brown.
Yeah, James Brown. He's a little bit before any of our times, but
Yeah,
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 I know,
he's
I
a
know.
great
He's
entertainer.
like
Yeah,
the teacher of Michael Jackson,
yeah,
James Brown.
everything.
Yeah.
It's generations. Yeah. Mhm.
So you, Jeremy, you worked for SoulCycle and for Ciclo,
Uh-huh.
and what made you create your own company?
Lots of reasons, but I guess the main reason is wanting to have control
Mm-hmm.
over everything that you do. I wanted to have more control over my life. My partner and my wife Maria and I both at this point, we just wanted to be able to create a project that we felt like would be ours, but more importantly, we felt like there was something missing in the market. I mean, I think um, the community here in Madrid doesn't necessarily recognize how much better the experience can be in terms of doing boutique fitness. And we saw an opening for that, and we thought that we, wanted to take a chance at this point in our lives to try to create something like that that would, first of all, be, a lot of the concepts that are here in Madrid sort of come from somewhere else. They were created, in Mexico, or they were created in other markets, and then they decide that they want to come here. We wanted to create something that, even though neither of us are, we're born here, we feel like we are a part of Madrid, and we wanted to create something that would have a distinction of being a Spanish company and created here in Madrid.
You made it a premium service, right? And is that why you're partnered with the Four Seasons? I also hear that you define sessions like the Four Seasons of fitness. I love it.
Yeah, we've always, way before we had the opportunity to collaborate with the Four Seasons, I said that what we do should be the Four Seasons of fitness, in the sense that, your every need and the customer, everything that they want should be taken care of before they ask for it, like the amenities, the sound system, the quality of the instructors, the shower, every part of the experience, because the experience isn't just what happens in the 45 or 50 minutes of the class. The experience,
it's not only the bike.
No, it's not only the bike.
Yeah.
The experience starts when you walk into the studio and being greeted by the front desk. And so we wanted to create this idea, when you walk into the Four Seasons, one of the things that I notice is the attentiveness of the front desk staff, and them with a big smile on their face and welcoming you, and you feel welcomed, and you feel like you're in something that is several notches above what you're used to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that is luxury.
Yeah. It's luxury. Yeah.
And the name of the company, Sessions, why explain us the name?
We came up with it together because, first of all, music is, as we talked about earlier, is a huge part of my life, and Maria as well. And we wanted to make a distinction that you are going to have not only diversity in our community, but also Sessions gives you the opportunity to select and have diversity in your workout experience. So the idea is to create variety in between cycling. We also want to have a functional training concept added to our brand. And the idea is that whenever we open our studio, we're going to have several different options in terms of how you select your class. So you're going to have a hip hop session, or a pop session, or EDM session, or even a reggaeton session. We felt like the music and the variety in what you were consuming was just so, it was so repetitive. We wanted to create a company name that says Sessions. So it's plural. It gives you lots of different options to choose. And, the instructors are going to have their own unique identity. Like right now, Maria and I, we are very different. So, what is your taste? You can choose Jeremy if you want that New York City vibe. I think people think of themselves as, when they take my class, it feels like they're taking class in Manhattan or Brooklyn in the United States. Maria gives a whole different experience. And then we have several prospective instructors who are going to add their identity. Perhaps you want to feel like you're in Andalusia. We want to give you an Andalus instructor, things like that.
And there is a technique, right? Because the beat of the music is always followed with the legs, right?
Yeah.
It's different versus the traditional spinning classes.
Much different.
Yeah.
Much different. I think what you're talking about is more technical, feeling the rhythm as opposed to the music being in the background. For us, music is the whole building block of the class. Everything is done out of the music, whether it's when you're jogging, what we call jogging
Mhm.
up, and you're feeling the rhythm either with the right foot or the left foot, or the right leg or the left leg. But also when you're sitting and you're going quick and you're pressing,
Yeah.
your up and down is to the rhythm of the music. Even when we're doing the weights, the pesas, everything, every movement is timed with the music.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a much different technique than a traditional spinning
Yeah,
class.
I love this new technique. And are you planning to form people to expand sessions? Are you going to form new instructors
Oh yes,
in Madrid
yes,
here
yes.
for the new future of sessions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We already have, a few instructors in mind. And again, the idea is to create a very diverse group
Hmm.
of instructors.
Yeah.
We would love to have instructors from all over Europe.
And Jeremy, what does the future looks like for sessions?
Well, this year we will open a studio.
Mhm.
We can't say where exactly
Okay,
yet, but
congratulations.
we will open our studio this year, and we hope to still be able to collaborate with the Four Seasons. We were immensely
Hmm.
fortunate to launch our brand with them. It's like, again, I've been saying for years that our business should be like the Four Seasons of fitness. And so it was like it exceeded your wildest dream to think that you would have the opportunity to collaborate with a brand like that. And then to collaborate with a brand that has such a beautiful facility. I mean, you've taken class with
Yeah,
me
yeah,
there,
yeah,
and I think it's one of the most beautiful views of any
yeah,
hotel in all of Europe, I would think.
yeah. It's amazing.
Um, and so, you guys can still take classes with us, and we hope that you to keep that partnership for an indefinite amount of time. But right now, you can take classes with us there at the Four Seasons in Madrid.
So cool.
And but yeah, so what the future holds is that we'll open a studio, and we want to strive and continue our pledge to give the community
Hmm.
here in Madrid and in Spain the very best. That because I truly love this community. Maria feels the same. We got here not knowing exactly. We felt drawn here, but we
Hmm.
didn't know exactly what to expect once we got here. And so in these last few years, we've come to really love living in Madrid, and we love the community. And so we really have the desire to strive to give the community our absolute best, and because they deserve the best.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. So, Jeremy, I always ask my guests these final questions. What makes you passionate? What makes you vibrar alto?
So what makes me passionate is the promise of the future. Like
Hmm.
I am a person that's always optimistic about that our best days are still ahead of us. And I feel that way about, you know, our business sessions. I feel that way about, a lot of the exciting things that are happening in our community. And when I say our community, Madrid,
Hmm.
it's growing. And so that's what makes me very passionate, is the promise of the future. I feel very optimistic. We're just starting a new year. And so I'm just very motivated to get to work and do everything that we have planned for the future.
I love that. I always ask about books, but tell me your go-to songs for sessions or for your
That's a good
daily
question.
life.
I think everyone who's taken my class, I have like that 10 songs that I think when people hear them, they think about my class.
Hmm.
You know, there's a song that's called "I Believe" by R. Kelly. That's a very special song that I actually haven't played it in a while. But if you guys go look that song up, not "I Believe I Can Fly," but "I Believe,"
Uh-huh.
and it has our former president Barack Obama speaking at the beginning of it.
Oh,
And
wow.
he wrote the song right after Obama was elected president in 2008, and that was Obama's slogan, I believe.
Hmm.
And so sort of connected back to what I was talking about, believing in the promise, even though sometimes it seems like the hope
Yeah.
is low,
Hmm.
but always having the desire for unity and coming together, and knowing that um, you know as expats living here in Madrid, one thing we found is that all over the world, there are many more things that we have in common than make us different. Languages and where we're from make us different, but the love of sports, the love of music,
Yeah.
the passion that we have, that is one thing that unites the world.
Yeah, totally. And who would you like to hear next in Vibra Alto?
That's a good
Future
question.
guest?
Future guest? I don't know. That would be very interesting. Maybe a very famous performer, entertainer. My time here in Madrid, I've been educated on many new artists, performers here from Madrid, like Quevedo and
Yeah.
Ayatana. If you ever had Quevedo, I think
Yeah.
he'd be a lot more interesting than me here. But yeah, if you could,
I love his music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's just a very interesting
I like it.
guy.
So,
Yeah.
Jeremy, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in class.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a lot of fun.
Gracias por escuchar Vibra Alto. Nos vemos en el próximo episodio.